Sometimes we do have a review. So today we're going to go back and revisit and review the words custom, experience, hardship, rowdier, and tilt. Again, the reason for reviewing and revisiting these words is that our goal is to incorporate some of this new vocabulary in our writing and in our speech, just in our everyday conversation. So this is a game called What Do You Think Will Happen? I will use one of the vocabulary words to describe a situation. You are going to use your imagination and what you know about the word to describe what you think will happen next. Let's look at the first example. Bart and his family are camping when a thunderstorm strikes. As the wind grows stronger, it should say the poles. The poles holding up their tent start to tilt sideways. What do you think will happen as the poles tilt sideways? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think for yourself. You can use this sentence frame. As the tent's poles tilt sideways, okay, so we know that the word tilt means to lean to one side, so maybe you are starting to visualize this thunderstorm beginning and a tent that's starting to lean sideways. Maybe you said something like, as the tent's poles tilt sideways, the tent begins to fall and the thunderstorm picks up and the wind blows the tent away. Let's look at the next example. Edna is worried about the man who lives in the park. She tells her mother he faces many hardships. He doesn't have a place to sleep or a place to wash. It's very cold in the winter and he does not or doesn't have warm clothes. Let's help him deal with these hardships. What do you think will happen? What will Edna and her mother do to help the man deal with these hardships? You can use this sentence frame. To help him deal with the hardships, they will Right. Well, if Mom mentioned that he doesn't have a place to sleep or a place to wash and he doesn't have warm clothes, then maybe Edna and her mom, to help him deal with the hardships, will provide him with some warm clothing or a nice warm blanket to help keep him warm during that cold winter. Excellent. Moving right along. Teresa has listened to her uncle talk about sailing for years. She loves the stories, but she wants to do more than just hear about sailing. Teresa decides she must have her own experience at sailing. What do you think will happen? What might Teresa do to have her own experience at sailing? To have her own experience at sailing, Teresa will, go ahead. Right, I would imagine that if she wants her own experience sailing, then Teresa will probably join her uncle, who she knows has been sailing for years, so that she can now experience that firsthand. Moving right along. After Thanksgiving, Mr. Williams brings several large boxes up from the basement. What's in the boxes? Asked his youngest son. Are we decorating the house again for the holidays? Asked his daughter. It's important to keep our customs alive, replies Mr. Williams. What do you think will happen? How will the family keep its customs alive? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. To keep its customs alive, the family will. Right, maybe they have something special in the box that is like, I'm thinking of the word tradition, like a tradition that maybe they like to celebrate around the holiday. So to keep its customs alive, the family will continue the tradition. And I'm guessing it's either decorating something or maybe a box of keepsakes that they're taking out from the basement. Last example. Mr. Hahn is working at the kitchen table paying the bills. His children are chasing one another around the table. He asks them to be quiet, but they just get rowdier. What do you think will happen? What will Mr. Hahn do when the children get rowdier? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. You can use this sentence frame. When the children get rowdier, Mr. Hahn will. I agree. I think Mr. Hond is probably going to, in a more stern way, because before he just asked them to be quiet, but it didn't really work. So now in a more stern manner, meaning a little more strict, he's probably going to remind them that they need to quiet down. Great job today with the review. Again, we challenge you to use these words in your conversation and in your essays. Thanks, boys and girls.